In order to change the oil on my Yanmar engine in my Hunter sailboat, I've got to come into the head here, and as you can see, here I am in the head, and I have to unlock these barrel bolts and just to get access to the engine. And there we are. But there's the oil filter down there and the dipstick where I'm going to pump out the oil once I get it warmed up. So I have the motor running right now, and I'm going to let it run for about 10 to 15 minutes to get the oil warmed up enough to be able to suck it out of here with my electric pump. So the motor has run now for about 20 minutes to warm up the oil. So now I'm just going to cut it off by pulling the fuel cut off, and then I have to get out here and turn off the key so that I don't annoy all the neighbors. Now this pump has a little switch on it, so you can turn it on and off. And I'm going to switch it on just to make sure it runs. There it goes. I'm going to take the tube out of here, which is where you store it when you're not using it. And I'm going to put it down into this here, and it needs to go down as far as the bottom of the oil pan. So to check how far that is, I'm going to measure it against the dipstick. Well, I couldn't measure it and take the photos of it at the same time, so I pulled it out, measured it, and compared it to the length of the dipstick, and the hose is down about 3 inches farther down into the oil pan than the dipstick goes, so I think I'm at the bottom. The next thing is just to turn this on and watch the oil start to get sucked out, and just let it go until it's done everything it wants to do. Well, it's starting to sound like it sucked just about everything out. I'm going to bounce this up and down here in the dipstick tube. See if I can get any more out. As you're pulling the hose out after you've turned it off, make sure that you hold one of your absorbent pads here so that you wipe off the oil and don't splatter it all over. And I just dripped some down on the head floor here. And once you've got it all wiped off, stick it back in the little hole in the top of the lid here to keep any drips from going anywhere. All right, at this point it's time to get the oil filter off. And I've already got my absorbent pad in place. I'm just going to... You should be able to remove the old oil filter by hand, as they're only supposed to be installed hand tight anyway. Make sure that you catch any oil drips, and when you replace the oil filter, make sure that you use one that's appropriate for the engine that you're installing it on. Make sure you apply a film of clean oil to the gasket before you install it on your motor. This helps to make it seat better in order to prevent leaks. It's also a good idea to clean off all the extra old oil that may have dripped so that you can prevent any smoking when the engine heats up again. Now on my engine, I've got two places I can put oil in, interestingly enough. Got this one down here and that one on top of the engine. And since I'm here, it's probably easier to keep from spilling oil if I do it right here on this one. So I'm going to try that. Well, I couldn't get this one off, so I'm going to go ahead and use the oil filler on the top, because that one I know I can get off. And that's this guy right here. And I'm going to go around to a different place to actually pour the oil in, because I can stand up and it's a little easier for me. Replacing the engine oil is probably easier if you have a funnel. So I had to make myself a funnel out of an old oil can, so I cut the bottom off and used it as a funnel by sticking it into the filler hole at the top of the engine and pouring the oil into it. Now it's time to start the engine up again and make sure and check for any leaks. There shouldn't be any. There's only one place that could possibly be leaking, and that's at the filter. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go and start the engine up again, check it for leaks, and then call it good. One final thing, you should always check the oil level after you've completed your oil change job. The next thing I'm going to be doing is replacing this fuel filter and the primary fuel filter, which is in an extremely inaccessible location under the bed in the master salon. Hey, if you like this video, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up below and write any comments you have, and subscribe to Jim Sales.